Hello, good evening, Hassan and Miriam. All right, so um, I think I'll just have to share this link. I'm not sure the group is aware because we only have two learners on the call currently. Hassan, are you here? Miriam, are you here?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. How is it going?
It's very fine.
All right, cool. You're getting to use React now, or have you been using React before now?
I've been using React before now.
All right, great, cool. Yeah, well done. All right, Hassan. Hassan Tijani, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, how is it going? Good
Very
evening.
fine, sir.
All right. So you're getting to use React now, right?
Yes.
Have you
I'm
been using it
trying.
before now?
I'm trying a bit, and a colleague of mine as well is also putting me through.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Well, that will even help if you have a close mentor around to
yes,
guide you.
yes, yes, sir.
All right. Too much. Well
Yeah.
done.
Thank you, sir.
Chooks, Gabriela.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello?
Yes,
I'm
I said
fine.
how are you doing? Okay.
I
So
said I'm
yeah,
good. How about you?
yeah, thank you. I'm good. Thank you for asking. All right. So how is it going? Like the whole learning process. How is it going? And you're getting to use React now too, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure I heard the last episode.
Is that
Sorry, but I think don't know if it's my network, but I can barely hear you.
okay? I said it's going well.
Oh, okay, good. Glad to hear
I'm
that.
able to do yes. Okay.
You're able to do what, please? I don't know what you want to say. Some things it just hangs in between.
I
But
said
last night I heard is
I'm
that you're doing
improving.
fine.
I can see changes.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good. That's good. All right, well done. Well, I hope for the best for you all. And Maurice, Emmanuel Morris. Oh, okay, Emmanuel, if you're talking, me too. All right. So I think we'll just get to it. All right, just give me a minute. I'll share my screen. All right, please indicate if you can see my screen. Thank you, Bishop. So in our last class, we talked about how to create list items and how to make use of the useState property for state management, right? And we also did, let me even start my server. If you remember how to start the server, npm run starts. Okay. Oh, sorry, dev, not start. npm run dev. All right. So this is my application. Let me open my console. All right. So we talked about how to use components and how to utilize the state management property. That's the use state management property. That's for state management to handle a particular state and also update it, right? And we made an example with a list where when we add something and click on add issue, update the list, right? So that's basically what we talked about in the previous class. So, and we practice using state with setting an initial value of string and also setting an initial value of an array. And then we also talked about spread operator. Like I have to introduce it because we needed it to be able to update this set names, this set name state. Sorry about that. All right. Today we will be working still with this list, but then we'll be adding more features to it, right? And yeah, so let's get to it. But first, I mean, we are front-end developers, right? So I think it's going to be best if I just make this a little bit neater, design-wise. So if you can spare me 2 to 5 minutes, we are going to style this along. Okay, so I'll do everything in my index.css. I have this list, but then I want to wrap everything first. Where's my app.js? So I'll give this class of content. Let's say container. You remember why we are using class name here? So for React, it's different. I think I mentioned this in the previous class. For React, it is different. Instead of using class, we're going to use class name. They still do the same thing, just that it is different representation for this particular framework, right? And even if you go back to your inspect tool, it's still going to say class there, right? But is your React DOM that is bottling everything and renaming every class name to class. So this is the right convention for giving classes in React.js. Then inside of CSS, let me style this container. So I'm going to dot container. Let me give it a background color first, just to know where it is on the page. Okay. Well, I want it in the middle. So I'll use my body to center it because everything is directly under my body. This red is too much. Yeah, I just need a cooler color here. And see my body. Okay. All right, so I need to, you can see where my HTML, when I open an HTML, you can see where it ends, but my HTML is supposed to take full height. So for me to do that, I have to give my HTML height of 100%, body also height of 100%, and this ID of roots. If you can see my inspector, this ID of root also 100%. So once I have all this, the parent component taking 100%, I can successfully center my container in the middle of the page. So let's go to our CSS and set HTML, comma, body, comma, body, comma, hash, root. Why am I specifying hash root? Because everything is being injected inside this element with hash root. If you remember where we got that from, is from main.jsx. Everything is getting this particular element and rendering all our application inside of it is in strict mode. And this is our HTML here, hash root. Okay, so yeah, selected these three items. Then let's give it height of 100%. And when I hover, yeah, you can see everywhere is now highlighted. Body is 100%, HTML is also 100%, body, yeah, perfect. Now our container is directly inside the roots element. So let's tie this roots element to position all its contents, including container, in the middle of the page. So this time around, I'm just going to select only hash roots. And I'm going to give it display flex. Then there is another way to do this than using flex property. There's actually another CSS property that is place content. Wait, is it place content? Okay, place items. Oh, well, I think something like this exists, but I'll still check it out just to confirm. But let's just use the one we already know. Display flex. Nothing will happen. Oh wow. Yeah, that's fine. Then justify content center. Yeah, it centers it, which is fine. If I close this out, yep. All right. So I also want it to center horizontally and vertically. So horizontally is justify content, vertically is align items. So I'll use align items center. So perfect. And my content is now in the middle. So I can take out this background of green so I can have a view of what I'm doing. All right, so this is where my content is. So I'll change this to my to-do app because that's basically what we're trying to build, right? Where is that title again? To-do app. Okay, so, and all right. So for our list items, I probably don't need this bullets thingy here, right? Probably don't need it. So I will just select in my CSS, I'll just select UL, since that's the another list element, right? I'll just give it list style type of none. Yeah, the bullet is gone. Like I don't need that bullet for the list type. So to remove that, you can use list type. You can use list type to change it. You can also use it to remove it entirely. For changing, you just select every other one. To remove it, just set it to none. All right. So okay. So let me give it a background. I need to see what I'm doing. Bring back the background color of green. All right. Let me use border instead. Since it's not contrasting well with my eye. Border one here, solid red. Exactly. So this is where our content is. Now let's put some, stylings here. To do app and padding first. So that container padding of 10px, 20px. Right, this is fine. Then to do is save. Now, I want space between my title and the input area. I also want space between my input and the item itself. So to do that, where's my, okay, this is my content. This is my input. But this is what is even wrapping my input. And this is my list item. So when I go back, I'll select the H1 because I want to put margin bottom. So where should I do this? After it's H1, margin bottom of 10px. Yeah, this is fine. Then for my input area, I need to wrap both the input and the button inside one div, then apply margin bottom to it, because if I only select the input, the design is going to look distorted because it is in line with the button. So if I'm giving it margin, I need to wrap it both the input and the button and then give it a margin bottom. But first, I can just do the input. No, let's wrap it first. Come on, I want to pull up that image that I gave you the assignments. It's still loading up. So I'm going to give this a class name of, what will I call it? Oh, there's not even, no stress, just say form. Since it's an input and a button, we can wrap it in a form and give it a class name of inputs, to do inputs. Oh, not to do input, to do form actually. Then in my CSS, select to do form, then margin bottom to 10px. Okay, perfect. All right, then for this John, Jen, the list items, I need to like style it a little bit, right? Where is the list here? So we're talking about the LIs inside the list items. I think there's a place I styled the LI list item. Yes, I gave it a class of list item, if you remember. And this is where I'm giving the class here. And I'm saying if it is active, do this. Well, here I can do some other things, right? This 20px looks smush. So instead of border bottom, it's going to take a background color of, let me say white, then raise it from there. All right, so I also want each of them to have margin bottom. This styling is not sweet at all, but we'll make something good out of it. Perfect. Now each of them has a margin bottom. It is still loading. Okay. So the background color of this whole guy is this. Let's do that. My app container. Here's the container. Background color. So this should be white. FFF. Then when I go back, Yep, I should see this. Then reduce the color. Is to all right, we can work with this. Then this border red, probably I might just give it something close to white. So using border red, but then I want it a little bit thicker. Yep. Yeah. All right, yeah. Then let me apply border radius. Wait, where am I? Perfect. Border radius to make it curved, 20 px. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this. Then my John, Jane, Alice, and everything, right? Now let me style it. That's the list item. Back to the list item, we're going to include border radius of 10 px. And now it's rounded. And if I want to put this icon here, right? This might not be a check icon. This can just be a design, right? Something that indicates that, okay, this item is, when you have to do's, some items are going to be labeled based on priority. Is this urgent? Is this like based on priority? You can use this green circle to have that label. So the ones with red will be like intensively priority. The one with yellow is medium priority. The one with green is probably you can do it whenever you are free. But it can stand for anything. But I just have this as a just design out. So for you to do this, it's not a big deal. Just in your list item can have two items, right? Because this whole row now is li, right? And inside li, I have text which says check emails, and then this guy too. So to do this, I'll just I'll create another element inside the li. Let's say this element should be div. Div can be a self-closing tag, right? Div can be a self-closing tag if you don't want to put any content to it. Like if you just want the div to represent a shape, right? Just like we want it to do here. You can use it as a self-closing tag. Either way, it still works. You can still write it complete, open and close. Nothing changes. So for my item, which contains the text here, that's the check items and the review code, I'll just wrap it in a span. These are all just based on choice, right? You can give it anything you want, just based on choice. But why I use span is because span is an inline element and is used for text elements, so it suits very well for this scenario. So for this div, I'm going to give it a class name of, let's say, priority. How do you spell priority again? Oh my God. Priority tag. I'm not sure I'm correct with the spelling. Then back to my index.css. Inside my list item, okay, after this, I can have priority tag. Oh, the I comes before the O, right? I just knew that something is off here. Thanks. All right, priority tag, right? So, and this priority tag is just going to represent these circles here. So now I can give this a, let's say, border, no, not bottom, border of 1px, solid, green, and then we must give it width and height, else we're not going to see it. Oh, we saw it. Save. Actually showed. But then I don't want to take the full width. I want it to just take a particular portion, right? So I'm going to give it a perfect square. And to make a perfect square, the width and height is going to be the same. So width of, let's say, 50px, and then height 50 px. Oh shit, that's too much. So let's say 20. Back. Okay, this can do, right? I can work with this. Then to make it like fully rounded, you're going to use border radius. I'm going to call my border radius. And how do you get a border radius that will make it a perfect circle? Is the half of, if the width and the height are equal, then to get a perfect border radius, to make it a perfect circle, you're going to apply half of the width or half of the height. The width is 20, so half of it is 10. So border radius is going to be 10 px. Then when I go back, no, here, yeah, it's not perfect circle. So to now make it side by side, you know what to do. You can use display flex, right? Just apply display flex. It's going to apply it side by side. So for the list item, back on the list item, because the list item, you can see it here, is the class name we have on this parent wrapping these two items. We'll give it flex so that the items is going to be side by side. So back to list items, display flex. Perfect. So we now have this. Then I can actually use gap to put gap between them. It's too close to the circle. The text is close to the circle. So we gap for 5px, 10px. All right. Then let's say align items center. Yep. All right. So this is fine. Well, let me yes, just leave this the way it is. Okay. Then I think there is one more thing I need to style, which is the input area. But before I go there, Christos, you have your hand raised.
Yes, hello. For this example, I want to ask if we can use a font icon.
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
You can. It's even
just
good that. Yeah.
And
I mean,
stylist.
anything can. Yeah. Yes, you can use a font icon and style it. Right. There are font libraries. We are even supposed to still talk about that, right? So in your designs or your implementations, you're going to be using fonts a lot, right? So you're not going to go ahead and code that out. No, you can make use of font libraries to utilize that. But if you have access to, let me just search fonts. No, not font family. This is just font icons.
Sorry. In my assignment, I used a font icon from Font Awesome.
Oh yeah, cool. That's cool. Yeah, that works. As far as it just gives what the design or what the flow wants, right? It serves. I'm just coding mine out because I just like trying out things, right? Because everything is possible. But then there are some cases where you're going to need fonts, right? Font icons, all these icons. We how can icons like this. So you can use any icon library. So there is this library React icons, just like Christos mentioned. There's also Font Awesome too. You can still check out how to go about Font Awesome. This is version 4. No. I need the main Font Awesome. Yeah, this is it. You can read about documentation on how to use these solid icons. Click on solid. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. All the icons. So this thing that I just did here, I can actually get it here. I can just type circle. I think I should get an icon like that with circle. This is close. Okay. Yeah, it should be here somewhere. On check solid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is it here. But to use Font Awesome, you still have to set it up. So you go through the installation process. And then after that, I think you can even use a CDN. After that, you can go ahead and start injecting these icons on your code base. There are other icons level. We have React icons, like someone in the comment section mentioned, Miriam. We have React icons. Most of the times people use this because it is, where is the main thing? This is what I'm looking for here. No, not this. Exactly, this one. So we have React icons. This one contains all the icons from other icons library. Even the font awesome here, you will see it here. You can see we have font awesome 5. We showed you all the icons. We have font awesome 6. So it entirely depends on what you want to do. But to install this, you just go to home. First of all, do this npm install React icon save. That's on your terminal here. Install it. After installing it, to use the icon, you just come to the particular icon you want to use. If it is alarm, you just click on alarm, then copy this line. Import AI field alert from React icons AI, then to use it like this. I think I might have to practicalize using icon so we can be familiar with how that works. Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool to know that you can make use of this too. So yes, back to this. And where was I? Yeah, I want to start the input, right? And this is how the input is. Okay, so I think I'm done with this. Yeah, I'll get back to it still when I'm doing the priority tag thing. So I want to start the input. Where's the input? Input is here. Well, I don't even need to do anything. I'll just come to my CSS. I'll say inputs, since an element, background, color, set to white. White is FFF. We have padding, 20 px, right? And oh, that's too much. Okay, let's say 10 px, 5 px. So padding should be 10 px, top and bottom. No, 10 px left and right, then 5 px top and bottom. Yeah, I can work with this. All right, then this ugly border, I can just remove it and put my border, please. 1px. No, border none. I don't need any border. All right. This, to remove this, you can actually go ahead and say outline. Outline, set it to none. That should go away. Perfect. All right, so just think I'm having mixed feelings with this. Then border radius, set it to 10 px. Too much, too much. Oh, not too much actually. I think I'll just go ahead and increase this guy. 10. I didn't save this for it. All right. All right. So now let's go and do start the button also. So for the button is this guy here. What color is this? I'll just use any color from blue. So for my button, I just need to select button is an element, and I'll give it background color blue. What is blue? Let me just type out blue. Then let's look for a shade of dark blue. Right. Oh, then color is white. White, please. Hash FFF for white. Then we have a border. set it to none, outline, none. Padding, I want to give it the same padding with input, so I'll just copy this. All right, I have this. Then border radius should be the same with inputs. Okay, now there is a gap here. For me to like actually get this gap, I can do two things. It's either I go about making it a flex, or in the input I'll just add margin right. If I want to add the gap from the button, I can just from the button I'll add margin left. Well, let's just leave from the bottom. Margin left. Margin left should be 10 px. Yeah, exactly. Not satisfied. 10 px. All right. So it says enter. For mine, it says enter your name. So let's change my input from enter to enter your name. Sorry, from enter your name to just enter. All right. So what next are we to do here? What next? What next? What next? Today starts. So I'll wrap this div. I'll put a P that says today's starts. Today's starts. Yep. All right. Now I'm back in the form. I think I need to put margin bottom from the form. Where's the form? To do form. I already have this. All right, so I am intentionally doing this because I wanted to see the thought process about going about designing something out, right? And then you can also see my errors and how I go about resolving it real quick. So it's good to do some sessions like this. Then for the tags, I can give it a class name. I can just say title, honestly. Class name of title. Then in my CSS, I will select dot title and then margin bottom of, let's say 7 px. Right, I think this is close to what we have here. Although we don't have the to-do app, but then let's just leave it for now, right? Now let's just be sure that everything still works out. Now when I enter to do, this time around I don't want it to be just names. I want it to be to do. Like if you're starting up, when you start working with a collaborating in a particular project or working in a company, you are going to have to do's, right? When you wake up, these are the things you're going to do for the day. Just set them out so that you don't have challenges diving into a particular text during the day. So just have that mindset going or starting the day. So you can just list out all the things you're going to do for the day, and a tool like this can help you do that. Just type in, okay, first thing, morning stand-up call. Morning stand-up call. You can add it. Now, I don't need all this John generalist again. I can go back to my app, remove this. So instead of, I will just have an empty array. Remember, I must have a default value, and the default value, that's the initial value, is an empty array. So by default, nothing is there. When I go back, I should get this. All right, so there's something I need, right? I need to have an empty state. Currently, it's empty. There's nothing here, and I need to, because when you're doing something and you don't know the particular situation of that particular array, like if you're consuming an array or even an object, when the object is not available, especially when you're consuming from backend, you need to display something to the users, like a placeholder that, okay, this is not available, refresh. or check back letter, or add a particular item to get this, right? So I need to give the user an empty state. How can we do that? Back in my list, it is mapping through names dots. It's mapping to the names, yeah? This is not even going to be names again. It's supposed to be to-dos or tasks, yeah? That is not name anymore. I will change that later. But then we want to do something when it is empty. So I will just use my conditional statements and lesson. If, open and close your curved braces, names dot length. Remember we talked about using length, right? Wait, why is this thing not coming out? Dot length. Oh yeah, I'm not using TypeScript. If names dot length is equals to 0. Now I'm checking if names dot length, like if there is nothing inside that array, and when there's nothing inside the array, if you check names dot length, it's going to give you 0 because there's nothing in it. So if names dot length is equals to 0, return. So open and close my curly braces. Return. Let me have a div first. Empty. Empty. So now when I go back, I'm going to see empty, exactly, because names of length is 0. So this empty, how should I want to put a message for the user. Add task for the day. I'm just looking for something appealing. Add task for the day. So how about I just make this center in the middle? So instead of using div, I can actually use p since it's just a text. Class name, empty text. I can just say empty text. Like when it is empty, this is the text to display. Now I'm back in my CSS. Select empty text. Text align. I want to align to the center. Set text align center. Yeah, it is in the center. Then I want to give it margin top. Margin top of 10px. Did this margin top work? I didn't notice anything. 20px. Oh, okay, it's working. So back to 10, probably 15. Then the color should be not really black. Color should be, let me give this, then I'll choose a faint color. Let's see. Then for this, you can even add an icon that shows, probably you can come here and search for empty which icon do people use when it's empty? Can use the database or something. Let me say database, yeah. Yeah, you can actually use an icon like this. Probably this icon. Then put the icon on top of it, then say there's no task for today. Please add task or anything that you want to say. So the essence of doing this is just to show us that it is essential to put a placeholder when a particular stuff you are doing is empty. You need to think of the condition where it is empty also and when you have a value. So I think I'm done with the empty value. Now when I go ahead and add morning call and add, yeah, I should see morning call. You can see that that stuff now disappeared. Now after morning call, I want to start task. Starts, probably, yeah, just start task, anything. And it's nothing serious here. So yeah. So I want to like perform a basic CRUD operation. There's what we call CRUD. CRUD, right? In fact, most of every application you're going to be building with, if you're communicating with the backend, we are going to be going through the CRUD process. The CRUD process is C means create, R means read, right? Read for the users to read what was created. Then U means update. You can go ahead and update what has already been created. Then D means delete, right? Now I have passed C and R. C and R is create and read, right? I have passed that stage because currently I can create, I can type something and create it, right? It has created, and I can read it also to the users, right? Then I want to be able to update it. Okay, so I want to be able to update that particular edit and update that particular one, right? And also delete. That's U and D. Now I'm back in my list. Then add. All right, let's do delete. But before I even do delete, let me put a delete icon. So let me look for, ooh, what should I use now? I don't want to go to the stress of doing this. This is too much, but I think I'll just do it, right? Just to see how it's been done. Now I want to install this icons library in my applications. So this is how to install packages actually. Go to home, just make sure you read documentations. Home shows how to install it. This is the process. You can see it says the installations for standard modern projects. This is the installation. So copy this line. Then in your terminal, you can stop the one that is currently running, no problem. Then you can paste the line. Then enter. It's going to install inside the application. And how to know that it's installed is when you go to your package.json, you will now see React icons. If you remember when I demoed this particular package.json, we only saw React and React DOM, right? Because those are the two default packages that comes with React when you're setting it up for the first time. Then, yeah, you can go ahead and create another React app. Oh, you see, you're saying I should create a new one. All right, so yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, you can see now I now have React icons. It's a new package. So whenever you install any package, after installing, if you just go to your terminal, type in the command to install the package. If you go to your package.json, just for you to know that it has installed, you're going to see the name of that package here. You can see that it shows 31 seconds ago. I just added this particular package 31 seconds ago. But this one here, you can see it's no. Go back to this here, 4 days ago. That's the last class we had. So this is React icons. Now I have React icons inside my application. Now I can go ahead and use it. Okay. Let me start back my server. npm run dev. My server should be up and running. Back, refresh. Okay, yeah, app task for the day. Perfect. Now, how can I use this? You can also go back to the documentation and see how it's being used. You can see you import the particular icon you want to use. Then you now call that icon as a JSX. Now I want to use a delete icon. And most of the time, delete icon is represented with a trash bin, right? So I can just search trash bin or just search trash. I'm going to get trash bin. Let me use the one from, I'm not trying to be picky, but let's use this. Let's use this one. So you can see the first thing to do, copy this first line. Back on my list item, I'm going to import it at the very top. So after the first import or whatever import you have, enter the next one, just paste it down there. We have imported FA trash. Now let's use FA trash. This is how to use it. FA trash as a JSX. Open and close as a component, right? JSX component. Now I need to have it inside each list item. Now when I go back to my code, if I add anyone, add, yeah, I'm going to see the item and then this trash bin beside it. So anyone I add now will have the trash bin beside it. So the idea is if I click on this trash bin, it should delete the particular item that I clicked on. Yes, Christos, go ahead.
Yes, I want to ask you must kill your terminal first and then run the npm command, and then again run npm run dev.
Sorry?
You must kill your terminal to run the command for React icons.
No, it's not a must. You must go into kill the terminal. If you're using Webby, you don't need to kill the terminal. Actually, I did mine because I wanted us to see it, but you can open multiple terminals, right? As this one is running now, you can click on this icon here,
Yes.
or you can even see this plus icon at this top. You can click on it, or just click on the plus icon. It's going to create another terminal. You can say I have two terminals now. The first one is the one with my server. The second one is the new one. So I can create multiple ones. You can see I have up to 1, 2, 3, 4. Like here, I have multiple terminals now, right? So I can have a lot of things running at the same time, but as far as it's not clashing with our server that is running, like our local server, this guy, is fine.
Okay, so
You get that, right?
for run dependencies, you just add a terminal, you run the dependency there, and then in the other terminal you have always the app running.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I did what you said. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying,
yes. Now in my application runs. Okay, I have my terminal, and I have the command npm run dev, and I want to install the React icons. I must
okay,
kill the proxy of the terminal and run the npm install.
no, it's not a must you're going to kill the terminal. You can kill the terminal if you choose to, right? It's not a must. But now
Okay.
I killed mine. When I installed mine, I killed the terminal, installed, and then restarted it. But if you want to kill the terminal, what you're going to do is just to open another terminal. That's what I just did now. Then the first terminal will not be your server. The second terminal will be probably where you want to install what you want to install. Now I can now go ahead and install what I want now. So if I still want to install that particular,
Okay. Okay. And understood. Okay. Yes. Of
yeah,
course.
if I
Okay.
want to install it now, I can install it now. Then when I'm done installing, I will close this one because that's the one I just created just to install. But I still need this one open, the first one. All right, cool. So, yep, we are here, right? And I want this delete icon to be all the way to the far left, right, sorry. Then back to my, well, I'm going to wrap this in a button because it's going to be an on click. I'm going to listen to on click. So I'm going to create a button. Then copy my icon, paste it inside. Then my button is going to have, for now, type of button. Ouch. Oh, why? Because I have a particular styling for buttons here. So any place I declare button in this application is going to use that style. So, but I don't want that. So I only want this to affect, where's my button component? Where is this guy? So I can give this a class name of btn. Yeah, let me say custom btn. So now where I start it, I will just specify button.custom btn. So anyone with class of custom btn will have this default style. Now when I go back, perfect. Now it has that default button thing wrapped on it. But we can still take that out. No worries. So that's one. Then the next thing is to move it all the way to the right. Back to my list component. So I will give it a class name of delete btn. I mean, you can write it in form, just using btn because it's short for button, right? Then I will have dot delete btn. First, I'm going to give this, let's see if align self works. If this works, I'll tell us what this does. Flex end doesn't. But still, I'll still tell us. Align self is used to do what the align item does, but for individual elements or individual components. Now, if I have items under a flex box, I can decide a particular behavior I want a particular element to do. Like I want this element to just do its own thing, right? So you can use the align self property to just change the alignments of that particular element under a flex box. Must be under a flex box or grid items. This doesn't work. There's another way to do it, but that will take us another time. I need to wrap this div in a, and I need to wrap these two guys together and this one together. I need them to be two separate entities, right? So that I can push them apart. So I have this div wrapping my priority tag and then my item. When I go back, everything is scattered, but no problem. Yeah, it's fine. As far as we are aware of what changed. Now, what changes? The list item, I gave it a flex box, right? But now, I still need this flex box to work, but I want it to be justify content space between. There's justify self. Sorry, I'm trying to test out something. If it works, we are good. I think I'm supposed to have used justify self here. Justify self, flex end. It still didn't work. Okay. And bring back our, please don't fail me. Then I'll give this a class name of, how will I tell this to be? Sometimes if I don't, there is definitely should be a word, a class name I want to use here. I don't want to do, I wanted to do inline styles here. I mean, I can still go ahead and do inline styles here, right? I can say style, no. Oh yeah. Okay, writing inline styles and React is actually different. I can say display flex. Display flex. Perfect. Then gap. Yeah. Then for the parents, instead of doing all that, I will say for the parents, where's the parents? Here, I'll bring back the justify content space between. Perfect. It pushes the two elements, puts a space between them. So this is what I want. I don't need this gap here anymore. Oh, I'll leave it. Then for my button, I don't need the background color. Background color, set it to transparent. I don't need any background color to it here. There is border. I don't want that border. Border, set the border to none. I just want only the delete button. Yeah, exactly. Now I now have only the delete button. So in most cases, your delete button is going to be red. So you can actually specify color red from here. There are many ways you can apply colors to icons. From here, you can say color. You can say red. I think red is 000FF. Let me just type out red for. Yeah, you can see color is now red. The color of our content is red. All right. So cursor pointer, remove this cursor here. I want the cursor pointer on all the button. Pointer. I want whenever I hover on this, my cursor should change to pointer. I stop hovering. The same thing with this button. So every button will have that cursor pointer to it. Now, what is the plan? After adding, add again, then when I click on delete, this particular delete here, it should delete the item that I clicked on, right? So if I click on delete, delete this item. If I click on this, delete this particular item. Now, how can we do this? Back to our app.jsx. Now let's create a function that actually deletes, right? Constant. Undo deletes item. It's going to be a function. And inside this function, I want to delete, right? How can we delete? Now, I'm going to use the filter from array method, okay? I want to use filter from array method. Why? I want anyone I click on, go into the array, filter out every other item inside the array that doesn't belong to the one I clicked on or that doesn't represent the one I clicked on. So if I click on this ERT, if I click on ERT, go to the array, filter everything that is not ERT. So just give me the ones that are ERT. That's just what I need. So the ones that are not ERT here. And to do that, we are going to first filter just to see if that works, right? I need to cache the particular item that I clicked. So I can just check actually the index of the item because there's no way to tell these particular items apart. I need the index of the item. Wow. I didn't think this would be this. So where is the input? Input, I need to pass a props down to this guy and then cache the button click. So every time I click, give me the index of the one you clicked. Now, how can we do that? Handle delete is a function that console logs index. Let's console log this index first. We are caching the index from the argument space, right? We need the index of the one we clicked. So let's pass this function down to list item, the list component, as a props. We talked about props in our last class. And we can pass props as attributes to a component. So we have handle delete item. The prop name can be on delete. I want to tell us the difference between the prop name and actually the value we are passing down. The prop name is on delete, but I'm passing down handle delete item. So yeah. So on the list item, I need to create another prop that is on delete item. Back to list. So after names, I'm going to have comma on delete item, right? Exactly the same name. Any name I give it here, that's the name I'm going to put on this space. The value can be anything I want, as far as the value is accepting the same condition that I want it to be. So on this on delete item, I don't think we need all these things again. I think I just want a neat code, right? So that everything I'm doing. Do we even need active again? I'm not sure we need this active again. It sucks to take this out, but I have to. Thank you for your service. So remove this on click here. Then I only want list item here. Okay. So I think this is a little bit neater. So I don't need this useState here anymore. Now on click, of this trash bin, right? I need to get the index. I need to pass the index down. So on click, we are going to listen to on click. Remember, on click is a function. So we can write an arrow function inside here. And how to write arrow function? Start with your curved braces. Then after, you can now write your functions. So I want on delete here. And on delete accepts an argument Remember how to pass an argument down to a function. Open and close the curly braces. What's the argument that he accepts? He accepts an index. So we need to pass an index down. And where can we get the index? We can get the index from here. So for all the names here, each of them have an index. So all the items, each of them have an index of their own, starting from 0. The index of this is 0. Index of this is 1. Index of this is 2. Just like that, all the way down. So pass it down. Now when we click, we should get the index logger because we're logging it out here. Let's confirm. Inspect. Go to my console. Why am I getting this? Oh, probably when I cleared out some things. Now if I click, I should get the index. Exactly, I got 0 because I clicked on the first item and the index is 0. If I click on this, what index should I get? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I click on this, I should see 5 printed out here. Exactly, 5. So I'm successfully getting the index of the particular item I clicked. Now let's go ahead and remove that item out of this array. Now, what are we going to do? How can we do this? We're going to say constant. You have to filter out. Let's filter out first. Constant filter is equals to, right? So let's call this remaining item. I just want to use a descriptive name. Remaining items equals to. So we're going to go into these names and then look for the one that the index is equals to this. So we're going to do names, sorry, not index. Names dot filter, right? Remember the filter method we did? It accepts a function and writes another function within. But the filter method, you only need to pass an argument. Pass a particular expression that returns a boolean, right? So remember, we can catch two things from here. From the filter, we can catch the value and the index. So the first item is the value, the particular item itself. Just like the way we are mapping. Remember, we are mapping, you have item and index, right? But in this scenario, we don't need the item. So we can represent it with underscore since we don't need it. Then the next one is the index, remember. But you can still go ahead and say item, no problem. Everything is fine. But we won't be using it. Now, I won't call this index because I don't want to conflict the name. I already have index here, so I can just say this should be IDX. ID estimates index, short for index. So in the main function part, the expression where I'm going to be returning a boolean, I'm going to say if IDX, that's the IDX from here, is not equals to, wow, index. I don't know if this will work, but let's see. Now I'm checking, represent with underscore first. This should work, but is the scenario that I'm trying to figure out. I'm going through this names array here, and I'm saying look for the one where the index is not equals to this particular index I passed down. Like I'm saying, go through all this array. Anyone that the index is not equals to the one, like the index I'm getting from this function, include it. That's the only one I want, right? Now let's just be sure that this works. I want to console log remaining items. So I don't need this. Remaining items. Let's see if this works. So oh my god, let me use real words. Fish. This is just for a test, please. Fish, orange, task, bottle. and egg. All right, so if I click on fish, I should get what I want printed out here is orange, tax, bottle, and egg. So no more fish, but let's see. Exactly, there's no more fish there because it goes inside the array and checks the one that the index is not equals to. As far as the index I'm passing down is not equals to, like I'm passing for this one, I'm passing down 0. As far as the index is not equals to 0, give me other ones, right? That's what it's doing. So now I have orange, tax, bottle, and egg. Now if I click on bottle, I need to refresh. Oh, sorry. I can't do this. So I believe we got the picture of what is happening here. Now, after filtering, I want to set names to what I got, right? Then I'll now say set names to, no, set names. This is not supposed to be names again, but I hope you manage. Set names, that's this guy here, to whatever is remaining. Is an array, so it fits right into the default or initial value there. All right, so let's see if this works. So morning call. Morning call. Breakfast. Setup. Then start. Work. Now I want to delete one of these. If I delete a morning call, I want to see only breakfast, setup, and start. Let's see if this works. Exactly. I clicked on morning call disappeared. Now if I click on start work, I should only see breakfast and setup. Exactly. So if I click on setup, I should only see breakfast. So our delete is working. Any question? No question? All right. If there's no question, then let's do use effect. So in our last class, we introduced the popular or most of state management hook that you're going to be using on through, which is useState. And I believe by now we all get a picture of what this useState is and how to go about it. What this space is, that's the value, and what this one is, that's the function for updating the initial value, whatever it is previously. So we have other hooks, right? I believe I showed us how to like explore that ones from the React. This is where we're importing React. So if you say comma, you're going to see every other properties made available to you from React to explore. And most of the one with use, anyone that start with use is a hook. Okay, is a hook. Use action states, use callback, use debug, use effects. That's what I just said we're going to be jumping into. But let's see other ones. Use layout effect. And you can actually, anyone you hover on, you can read the meaning beside it to get more context on what it does and when to use it. If you think you're not getting it, you can actually pick any of this, search it online, or ask a question, right? So we're going to be talking about use effects. Let's import use effects from React. All right, so what is use effects? I don't know if this is the best. Okay, I think I can do this here. Always. So use effects, it allows you to perform side effects on your components. It's more like a side effects book. I don't know why it was called use effect, but it is what it is, right? So what it does is to perform side effects in your components. And some of these examples for side effects is fetching data, right? And I can't believe we have not talked about consuming endpoints. We're going to do it probably in our next class. That's the first one we're going to do. We are going to treat how to consume an endpoint from the backend and probably communicate with the backend too using all the asynchronous and promise hooks we have on the front end. So going back to useEffect, we have the effects that we can apply with useEffect is one of them is fetching data, and other one is updating the DOM, right? And anything at all, we can use useEffect as far as the operation are trying to run with it is well calculated, because useEffect can be very, 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 very what will I say? It is prone to issues if you're not careful. It's prone to like breaking application if you're not careful in the use case. So this is how to write useEffect, right? We're talking about useEffect. All right, and useEffect, it accepts 2 arguments. So this is how to write it. We're going to write useEffect. All right, then open and close the curly braces. Then the first part is the function. All right, function. Then comma. The second part of it is the dependency. And there's no using this greater than. So the first part is the function, right? And the second part is the dependency. So the function is where you are writing the exact expression that you want to happen anytime this is effect is being rendered or being called to the client side, right? And then the dependency part is what this particular is effect is dependent on. Let's say you want, anytime I change something, I want this effect to run again. So that's actually a good use case for useEffect. You have an operation you are running, and then you want this operation to run again when something else changes, right? Update this particular expression when this changes. So useEffect comes in handy when doing something like that. So now let's write this thing out and see. Okay. So I'll have useEffect. Okay. Then open and close your curly braces. First part is the function, and you can write an arrow function for it, right? Arrow function is good. You can have arrow function. Then open and close your curly braces. So this is the first part, the function part, right? Then the dependency, comma, that is second part. Second part of it is an array. Why is it an array? Because you can have multiple dependencies. You can have thousands, you can have numbers of dependencies that you want this particular expression to dependent on, right? So that whenever those things changes, it should rerun or re-render the application or rerun the useEffect. So enough of the talking, let's see it in action. So in my useEffect, I'm going to also log something here. I useEffect. Then go back to my console. If I refresh, I'm going to see I am useEffect. All right. Now you can see it only showed once. Okay. It only showed once. Like if I refresh again, you're going to see this effect again. If I refresh, right? It's going to show twice, but just ignore the twice that it showed. It showed just this first time, right? So if any other thing is happening inside this application, nothing is going to happen because I didn't put any dependency, right? Currently, there's a render happening inside our screen. What's the render? Anytime I add something and click on add, there's a render. Render means there is a new node inside the application. So you need to re-render the screen to update that new node. That new node is this guy here, that new element, right? If I enter something and add again, it's going to show something is going to add to our element. There is a render, but then our useEffect is not being called again because I didn't put any dependency to it. Now your dependency part is actually not compulsory. Funny enough, the dependency is not compulsory. You can decide to remove this array. So what I'm saying is, anytime there is a render, because you're not putting any dependency at all, so the useEffect is entirely dependent on the application, right? Earlier it was empty. let me just write something. So you can have useEffect. useEffect. We have our function, which is the first part. Open and close your curly braces. This is the one I'm trying to try out now, right? So if I do this, it means anytime there is a render, call that effect. Okay, now let's see it in action. Currently, I have useEffect. Nothing is happening now. But if I type something, you can see it is logging out. There is a render because the value of this input is changing. It showed 3 times. You can see it here. If I type something again, it's going to show 4. It means the effect is calling every time the component re-renders, right? You can see it's changing. If I add, currently it's 18. Let me zoom in so you can see this well. Currently is 18, right? So which means if I click on add, it should show 19 or more. And when I click on add, so okay, it just showed another one, right? If I type something, add again, it shows. Like you see that it just keep happening. Even when I didn't do anything, right? It just keep. Whoa, we didn't account for this. This is adding empty items for us. Apologies. Spare me a minute. Let's do this together, right? This is not supposed to be adding empty items. If I click on add empty items, no, I need the user to fill in something. So we can restrict that from this guy here. So I'm going to say if value, open and close a curly braces, then run all these things. I believe you understood what I did here, right? I am saying if value exists. Currently, there's no value. It's just an empty string, right? Now I'm saying if there is value, go ahead and set names to the value and then reset the value. If there's no value, do nothing. So when there's no value, nothing is going to run. It's just going to return a void function. So let's see if this still happens. Exactly. It's no more. We're no more getting. I'm clicking it now, but it's no more showing. So that's aside. Now back to our useEffect, right? It means we are. Well, how will I put this? We are listening to re-renders. Re-render occurs when something changes on a node, wherever that particular change is coming from. As far as there is a change somewhere, it renders that particular component, right? There's a change in this input if I type something, because the value changes from empty to that particular thing I typed in. So there's going to be a render. And if I type something down, you're going to see useEffect. If I type it again, it's going to increase to 2. I think why it's doing this is because the change is happening on one place. So it's just going to be increasing this particular useEffect by 2. But if the change is happening on another place, it's going to show another useEffect. You can see 14 now. If I click on add, exactly. Type something again, add. You can see I will just keep getting useEffect every time the page renders. This is not good. There are cases when you might need to use this, but if is most part of it is if you're using this useEffect on a small component, right? Just a small component that just doing probably a timer, counting time or something like that. Yeah, this is with no dependency, but with empty dependency, useEffect. I'm writing another one. Open and the first argument is a function. I've written the function. Then the second argument is going to be an empty array, right? When I put empty array, now after here, I will just say comma empty array. This empty array means I am listening to a dependency, but the dependency doesn't exist, right? There's no dependency at all, right? There's nothing inside the array. So it means it's not listening to anything at all. Both the render and every other thing is not listening to it. It's just going to run that first time the page loads. Now if we try it again, refresh, you're going to see useEffect. That's the first time the page mounted. Mount is whenever an element is displayed or rendered on the screen. We call it mount, all right? Then if I type something, you can see nothing is happening. It's no more increasing because I didn't put any dependency at all. Okay? You can see it's not working. Like it's working, but it's not showing, which is what I expected to see. Another part of useEffect, like another use case, is when you actually have something inside the dependency array. Like you have something inside the dependency array. Let's say inside the dependency we have count, right? Or we can have other props actually. This means just spreading through props. Spreading through props means you can have multiple props. That's what I mean here. Just an example. So you can have anything. It's not much going to be a count. I mean, anything that you define here, you can put it inside a dependency. So you're not telling your useEffect that anytime these props are passing dependency changes, we render or just call this expression inside the effect. Anytime it changes, call the expression. Anytime it changes, call the expression. Right? So currently there's nothing. But if I want this particular console log to run again, anytime something, let's say anytime value changes. If I want to listen to anytime value changes, what am I going to do? Inside dependency, that's this space here, I'm going to put value. Okay? Anytime this value changes, console log I am useEffect. Why? Because I added value inside dependency. It's now dependent on that. It's now subscribed to value. Back to my log. If I refresh, yeah, this one is fine. The first one that shows whenever the page renders. But when I type something, the value changes. You can see it shows. Yeah, it's showing now. Exactly, it's showing. When I click on add, it shows too. Because why did it show? Here, I am resetting the value to empty. So the value changed from whatever it was to empty. So it's still going to listen to it. Assuming I'm not changing this, let's just be sure. Assuming I'm not changing this value back to empty here, I'm not supposed to see this part that showed whenever I add it. Let's see. If I click on add, it won't show exactly. Because I'm not list, it didn't change at that point. The only thing that changed was the list under here. So let me bring this back. I need it. Set value. So anytime value changes, it does this. Okay. But in my own case, I want to do something. I want to change the task title. The task title here is Dive React App, right? And I want every time I add a task, it should update the number here. Okay. So there's a way I can listen to the title. I still have access to documents. You're not done using documents. You can still have access to it if you want. So I want to listen to documents dot title. I just want to listen to the title. So with this, I got the title of the page. That is this title in the header. Document.title give us this. So you can go ahead and set it to equals to, let's just set it to something. Let's set it to I am useEffect, just for test case. Remove this one here. All right. Yeah, it changes to I am useEffect because I refresh the screen. So when I type something, it's actually changing, but because it's still saying the same I am useEffect, it's not looking like something is changing here. But what I actually want to do really is whenever I add, I want it to update this with the total number of tasks I have for the day. So that even if I'm on another page, I can see that I have 10 tasks to do today. So I have to go back to it, look at those tasks and do them. So what am I going to do here? I will say, I will use template retrieval. I will say pending or to do. Let's say to do. I'll use semicolon here. I'm using template literal here. I believe we can remember the use case for this because I want to pass down a value, right? So I'm going to pass down names dot length because that's what contains. Use dollar sign first. Let me revert this. Use dollar sign, then open and close the curly braces, then paste the variable that you want to use. But I want to only listen to the, what's it called? The length. So I'm going to just do dot length. That's all. That's all I want to do. But here, I don't need to listen to value again. I don't need to listen to whenever the value changes. I only want to know whenever the length of my task increases. Like when I add a new task or remove a new task, that's what I need. How can I listen to that? Instead of value, I will say names dot length. That's all. Names of length inside my dependency. Now I'm listening to whenever the length changes, right? From 0 to 1, 1 to 2, or backwards. So now whenever any of these changes, it should get the title and set the title to do number of the length that I have. If I refresh, I'm going to see to do is 0. If you can see the title here, to do is 0. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and add morning call, I click on add, you can see to do changes to 1. You can see up here. If I add a breakfast, to do should change to 2. If I click on add now, to do changes to 2. So if I keep adding things, it keep increasing. Currently, it's now 5. So even if I'm at another tab, I will see, oh my God, I have 5 tasks to do today, right? Just with the title, I have already told the user that this is the condition you are inside this particular to do, right? So they can come back, delete. Even if I delete anyone, length is still changing. True or false? True. So which means this will reduce. If I delete anyone now, it will change from 5 to 4. Yeah, it's now 4. If you can see it here, 4. Yeah, 3. So this is how to use useEffect. It's not a must that you have to do with anything that has to do with title, right? You can still use it within the application. You want something else to fire, or you want to execute another function whenever another one changes, useEffect is the guy for you. So any question? Question? Okay. All right, let's see what else we have for today. All right, I think since we're talking about today, I think it's a good time we did fetch, right? Fetching an API. But before I even do that, let's see, there's a mock API that is available. JSON placeholder. Let's see if this thing is even a thing now. Okay. All right. I think we can do this to-dos. All right. So there is, when you start joining or merging, when the program starts, when you're going to be merged with backend developers, even after that, if you're going to continue in this field, which I would like you to, you will end up most of the times consuming APIs, right? APIs, if you remember the first class that I did, I told us about API. Then it looked like some big word. Yeah, I mean, it might still be now, but we are going to do lots of practicals on it. So just to make us comfortable with it. So API means application programming interface, right? Application programming interface. And that is an interface or a medium where the front end and the back end communicate, right? So API is like a connection between the front end and the back end, right? And I give us an example using a restaurant where the table, the food, the aesthetics of the restaurant is the front end, the kitchen, and everything in the back, the wherever the storage is in the back end, then the waiter, the person that brings the food to you and takes the plate back to the kitchen, is now the API, because the waiter is what connects you in the front and then those in the back. So waiter is like an API. So that's what an API basically does in this context. Now, what I'm talking about all this is I want to demo that. I want to like have us do something like consuming an API from the backend. All right, so how do we go about this? There is a method. Remember, I told us use effects. You can use this effect for what I say we can use this effect for again. We can use the effect for fetching for fetching data, okay, updating DOM, which is what we just did. We updated the DOM. That's the example we did here. And every other thing. There's just a lot of them. ETC, capital ETC. There's many more you can do with use effect, right? But these two are common, and we have done this part. Now let's talk about fetching data. Fetching data is fetching data from the backend. Most of the times, you're not going to have the data on the front end for the users. Okay, you want this user to be able to, even if the user log in from his phone, do everything he or she is doing, adding and removing, right? When they access that same particular platform from their laptop or from their tablet, they should still see the same information. So if you want that to happen, you don't need to store data on the front end, because data on the front end are temporary. You know that, right? All these data we are creating, everything we are creating here is so temporary. If I click add, click again, add, it's very temporary. Why? Because if I access this particular site somewhere else, if I copy this link now, open this tab and paste it here, I will not get those things I created. But if I go back here, I still have them. But when I go back here, I don't have them because it's a temporary data, right? But if you want your data to persist, and when I mean persist, I mean like have them globally that the user can access them from any platform or any device they are on, right? That's when the backend comes in place, right? And when the backend is done cooking, everything they're cooking, they are going to give you an API documentation. That API documentation is what contains how to go about integrating this particular end. We call them endpoints, right? We call them endpoints. Just don't worry. I might be using some weird word, but we'll get to and give them more context as we progress. We call them endpoints. So this endpoint is what you're going to be communicating with to the backend when you have your base URL. Just be communicating with that endpoint. Like, I want this, go to the backend, give me this. I want to update this from the user, go to the backend, do that also. Yeah, too much explanation. So how do you do that? There is one particular JavaScript API that we call fetch. I think I should do this from other components. Let's see. Let me create another component. No, component. Fetch. Just call it fetch, right? So yeah, just fetch for now. Can be anything, right? But I'm just using fetch because it relates more to what I'm about to talk about. So we have fetch, right? So now I need this fetch on here. So I'll put the fetch here. When I go back to my front end, okay, what happened? What did I do? Oh, I have not imported. Why do I keep making this mistake? I have to import it. Please import first before you use it. Import from /fetch. Actually call this TSX. My bad. I think I'll start using TypeScript in our next class. So when I go back, perfect. I have fetch here. But honestly, I don't want this fetch to return anything, so I can just return an empty fragment. If you remember when we did fragments, you can actually go ahead and return an empty fragment. Nothing will happen. React will not complain, right? I just want to do everything in this page. Okay, so let's see. If I am fetching, I want to reuse this useEffect here, just so that we have more context from this angle. What's the time? Oh, wow. But I don't need this. I don't need the dependency part. Okay. I have my useEffect, right? And remember when I was in this explanation. So first, how do you fetch from backend? There are many ways you can do this, right? To get data from backend or a database, there are many ways you just need a URL, but then there are many ways you can go about it, right? You can use the default JavaScript. You can use the JavaScript API. The basic, this is actually the basic. Let me just say basic. The basic JavaScript API, the one that all your browsers recognize. We call it fetch. All right. You can also use Axios. Everything I'm talking about now, you have to install a package for it. Axios, you need a package to use it, right? There is and how to see all the packages? Just go to type npm. Npm means Node Package Manager. Type npm, go to home, and then you can search all the package you want. Even these React icons that we installed, we can actually see it here. When you type React icons, you're going to see the first one. Click on it. Here you can see React icons. This is the best place to get more context of how to go about installing an application and actually using it, right? Sorry, installing a package and actually using it. You can see include icons in your React project easily with React, which utilizes this and that. This is how to, if you're using Yarn, if you're using npm, in our case we're using npm, this is how to use it. This is every information about it. But then what is also more important is the weekly download. You can see that 3.3 million people are actually downloading these particular icons on weekly basis. There's a lot of developers out there. So yeah, we have to try as much as possible to stand out. Very important. So we have 3.3 million downloads per week. We have issues. The last time it was updated a month ago. These are the people working on it. We have 5 people. So yeah, this is just good to have this information about a particular package you're about to use, right? So for that Axios that I talked about, you can come here and type Axios. Yeah, this is Axios. It's going to open it up for you. This is Axios weekly. 61 million downloads per week. Is a very widely recommended package when you're consuming APIs, right? It's okay to use Axios. It's actually very, very, very okay to use Axios. Last published an hour ago, like there's a developer working currently on this particular package. Just tell you how intense it is. So yeah, we have other setups. You can see you can just install it, npm install Axios and every other thing. So back to this. There are many ways, right? You can use fetch, you can use Axios, but for a start, I'm going to use fetch. All right. Now you cannot just go ahead and type fetch out. No. It's either you write it inside a function or you write it in a useEffect, right? Inside a function or in a useEffect. So this is how to use fetch. Just type fetch is a function. Then open and close a curved braces. Now this curved braces part is where you put the URL that you want to fetch. Okay, the URL that you want to fetch. The URL can be anything. Any URL that the backend person gave you, this is what you're going to consume, right? This URL you're going to use to listen to my database. That's the URL you're going to put inside this particular fetch as a string. Now, but the fake API that we have, this is actually a JSON fake API. This is the URL. You can see the URL here. Sorry. Sorry. You can see the URL here. HTTPS JSON placeholder. slash to do's, right? So let's copy this. Then here, just paste. Sorry, just let me take water. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so now I have clicked on fish. Now back to my application. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I won't see much here, right? But remember when I was telling us about this inspect tool, we have other tabs. We have the element tab, and we have used the element tab most of the time, right? This is our element, this is our CSS. If you scroll up, you're going to see the CSS. So any elements you click on, you see the corresponding CSS for it. So console, we know how to get what is in the consoles, right? You just console log and you get it from the console. Sources, this just gives more context on your application, but in a more splitted format. Sorry, I'm just having a hiccup. Yeah, then we have the network tab. This is the tab I want us to like check out, right? Now, this network tab is where all the network logs are being printed out. So you cannot see network tabs in console. Anything that has to do with network, you can't see it in console. You have to go to the network tab before you see it, right? And all these things here are all the things React needs to function currently, because even the React DOM is fetching everything from somewhere, right? But these are just what is happening locally in the client side. But then this is what I want us to see. This /1, you can see one here, right? The way you're getting this one is because of this particular code that we have here. You can see ends with 1. So most of the times, how to know the particular log that is on your network tab is the last slash from your endpoint. That's what the network is going to recognize. Most of the times it does more, but to know which particular one, the last slash, yeah. Then when you hover on it, you see it to now show. If you see when I hover, it showed the link. You can see the link. You can see the link here. When I hover, it shows the full link. So if I can clear this tab, just clear from here, reload again, it's going to show everything. So I just need to click on one of these, right? Just click on the first one. You can see that link I copied. JSON placeholder, the request URL. This is the URL that you requested. This is the method. We have a lot of method, right? Method, Jesus, sorry. All right, this hiccup doesn't want me to finish my class. Sorry about that. We have a lot of request method, right? API requests method. By default, it is get, right? This get is used to get information from the backend or from the database. We also have posts, okay? Post is when you are creating a new item, right, to the database, just like what we have been doing here. Everything we have been doing here is a post request. If I type something, if I click on add, I am posting. I am posting to the names array. Go to the names array, post this item there. So that's more of what post does, right? It just adds another item to a database. Then we have, I think we have delete. Delete just does what it does. It does its name, right? It's used is a request method to delete a particular item from the backend, right? You don't want the user wants to do something from the front end. You just pass the request, make the method delete, and then it delete that particular item. We also have another one, put. Put is mostly used if you're updating a particular item, right? And I actually told us that we have CRUD. CRUD, create, read, update, delete. All right. So this CRUD operation, right? This is just the basic add, just want to know when you are doing some to-dos and everything. It's a CRUD operation. You create, you read it, you make updates, you delete it. So the create, what the create, let me just map the create to this request method. The create is corresponds to post, right? Create and post are the same thing. You're just posting, creating a new item. Read is the same thing as get, right? So if you want to read an item, you use the get method to fetch that API. So update correspond with put, okay? So the item already exists, but you want to go there and change something. Probably your surname changed. You want to go back and change it, right? Or some particular information about yourself changed. Know it that you information already exists. You just want to go ahead and change. You're not creating a new one, you're just changing. So that's when put comes handy. Then delete is when you are tired of the service, you just want to delete your account, right? Or you actually want to delete a particular item from your database, or you want to delete a message, right? This is the request you make, is a delete method. So this is how to like map the API request method with the CRUD operation. I hope this makes sense. So by default, it is get. Why am I saying all this? Is because that's why we have get here. So when you're making a request method that is post, instead of get, you see post. Now we have status code. Status code, most of the times, you are going to be happy whenever you see 200. 200 means successful. Okay, the request went successful, right? The request went to the backend, successful, and it also came from the backend to the front end successfully. That's 200. The request was successful. There is a lot of them. To know that, just search status. It's good to know that actually. Type status code. There is just a lot of them. Please open up. We have, let me zoom in. I hope you can see this. 100 to 119 informational responses, 200 to 299 successful responses, 300 to 399 redirection messages, 400 to 499 client error messages, client error responses, 500 to 599 server error responses. So sometimes you are going to see server error or some errors on a particular application. Now, if you go to the network tab, you're going to see that status code will not be 200. It might be either 400, depending on what the error is, or 500 if it is an internal server error. Okay, so this is the status code. And then the remote address is, what is this again? Is this my, there's just a lot to it, right? There's a lot to it, but it's good to know the first three. Remember how I opened this? You click on that particular request, just click on it, it opens up this guy. Then this information are all under the headers. Okay, you can go to the next tab, preview, to see the actual response. Now, if you see, we are getting only one, right? And it's going to give us the particular to do that the ID is 1. You can see that ID says 1, and these are the items inside this particular endpoint we just got. Right? This is the response also. It's just response and preview is more like the same thing. Preview is just previews is in JSON format. No, in JavaScript format for you. Response, you just preview it in JSON format. Then we have initiator, timing, and add block. These three ones we will not get to use it most of the times, but it's also good to know what they do. But the first three that you need is the headers, the preview, and the response, right? So the response will contain the error if the request was unsuccessful. If successful, you're going to get the response, actual response. So now I can change this from 1 to 2. If I go down, I need to refresh. Let me refresh again. Yeah, you're not going to see 1 anymore, you're going to see 2. That's the last item after slash. Now if I click on 2, you'll see headers 200, preview, response, ID, the one with 2, title, quest, whatever this is, then completed, false, right? So you can actually make use of this. So you can see that I'm only getting one particular item. What if I want to get all the to-dos on the back end? I don't need this to do. I will just slash to-dos. How do I know this? It's actually a fake JSON. So that's how they did it. Where did they do the one for to-dos now? Get, post, put, patch. Oh yeah, we have patch too. Patch and put does similar things. Oh man. All right. So I want to get everything. Instead of just getting 1, I want to get everything. So I will just stop at to-dos. I'll remove /1. /1 will just get the one with ID 1. So with this, if I refresh, the last slash is to-do. So I'm expecting to see to-dos here. Now, when I clear my network tab, refresh, yeah, you can see my to-dos here, right? So when I click on to-dos, first of all, in my headers, see the request URL, successful, method, get, that's by default, 200, which is a good response. Then back to preview. Let's go to response actually. Yeah, preview will just like split the array for you so that it's not look too much. But these are the array of every item in the database. You can see 1, you can see 2, you can see 3, you can see 4, 5, and the rest of them, right? Now if you go to response, you're going to see everything is inside an array. So these are all the to-dos on this particular database. And they are how many in number again? They are total 199. That's a lot. That's a lot. So yes, this is how to get it, right? But then if you want to make use of it on the front end, you want to have access to it on the front end. That's when you now go extra mile to get this information proper. Right? How do you do that? Just follow what they did here, right? After fetch, right? You do dot then. Dot then means after this response is done, like when it is done, then, right? The then is actually another callback when the function is done running or when the API is done getting the information. So you're going to get this response, convert it to JSON, right? Convert the response to JSON, just do response.json. Then you do then again. By this point, you're going to get the JSON format, right? But I think we'll just stop here, so we'll not stress more on it. So to see this in action, I can go here after the fetch method. At the end, I will say dot, then open. I can pass a function. Remember, an arrow function. Open and close your function. You can see it here. Then this function, I want to console log CLG. I am done. I don't want too much logs. So let me remove the log on. Okay, there's no other log. So I am done should console log when this request is done. Let's go back to console log and see if we're going to see it. So refresh, you know, okay, I am done. You notice I didn't see it immediately. It took like a split second for it to show. So the endpoint lasted for like a split second before it showed. Exactly. If I load it again, I am done. Yeah, but I don't want to get I am done. I want to get the response proper. So I can catch the response from this argument space. I'll just call it response. And then instead of console logging I am done, I'll console log response. Then back. If I refresh, yeah, you can see response. This is what the response is, right? We have response, this headers, body, and then every other information, right? So it's good to know what happens here. So, but I need this in JSON format. Where's that guy? Yeah. So let's console log response.json instead. So response.json. Then back, if I refresh, yeah, I'm going to see it will now split the request proper in, we have fulfilled, we have rejected, we have failed, right? I think rejected and failed is the same thing. So now this is when I'm now going to, so instead of getting the information here, I'll just return this response dot JSON. Well, this might look a lot, but don't worry. Then I will now go to another dot then, just like the way they did it. Dot then I will now catch the actual response. That's when it is fulfilled now. I will catch another response. Then I'm going to console log the response. Then when I refresh, exactly, and get the full information. So which means now I can have access to this information from the backend. I can just go ahead and set it to a particular state. Then the state will update on the React rendered applications. So I didn't do much to this, but I needed to do this so that I can clear the ground on how to get started with this. In our next class, we're going to move to TypeScript and also consume a real API, do some crude operations with it, and get to, hopefully if we have extra time, we get to create out some applications like the one I said, the link I sent earlier in the class. So any questions? No question. Officer.
Good evening, Mr. John.
Good
Please,
evening.
the question I want to ask is not related to this class. It's related to the assignment, our assignment submission.
All
I
right.
didn't get the information on time because my phone was off, so I got it late. At first, I sent my GitHub link to your DM, but I didn't get the information that we are to submit the GitHub link on Google Classroom. I went ahead to submit the folder for it, so I don't know if that one will be counted.
Can you show me the link?
Okay, I should send it to your
Still go ahead.
DM.
Have you deployed the project to GitHub first?
Yes, it's on GitHub already.
When did you deploy it?
I did that. I sent I sent a DM to you like 2 days ago.
Okay, actually, so you replied me. You replied me this evening now. Good evening.
Yes, yes, when I got to Google Classroom, I found out I could not submit the link again. So I had to drop a comment for you to go through.
All right.
Then I added the link to my GitHub to it.
All right, it's valid. No problem. I see your last
All
commit was yesterday, so which means you finished your assignment before due time. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
acceptable.
All
No
right,
worries.
thank you. All right.
You're welcome. Any other question, concern, contribution, addition, minus, anything at all? Beshak,
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
good evening.
Yes, so please, my concern is regarding the assignment that we've been submitting. I don't know if maybe a feedback had been given before and I was not in the class. So I was expecting that, okay, probably at least we'll be getting feedback that, okay, you did this, or you feel you missed out or something. I don't know why that's not done.
I'm actually sorry. I didn't get what you said clearly. I think there is some audio interruption happening. I didn't get what you said.
Okay, I'm like regarding the assignments that we have been submitting. I don't know if I'm the one that has been missing out, but I've not really gotten any feedback regarding any of the assignments I've been able to submit as to whether I did it correctly or not. So I don't know. I was thinking
Oh,
maybe something had to be done.
oh, okay. Yeah, it's being collated. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, there was a point where I was personally DMing some of us, some of the learners on what they did wrong, right? But if you have not gotten any feedback, it means probably everything sits well, right? But I'm still correlating, right? There's a lot of them. So, but we'll definitely get back to you if I think you need to work on something. All right. Very sharp. Does that answer your
Yes,
question?
sir. Well, I didn't get you clearly. My network. But I think I heard the last part where you say if there was an issue, you get back to me. So I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
All right. No problem. So if there is no other questions, I will hand over the mic to Alex. Okay, Jairus, will there be a final period that will determine? Yes. In the previous class, we talked about a capstone, right? And we are still making selections on how to go. So by tomorrow, we should have an update. Hopefully, there will be a final period that will determine. Uh, getting any certificate for this course. Yeah, getting a certificate, and also if you stand out very well, you're even going to be placed into into an internship role. So there's a lot of benefits that comes if you make it to the next stage, and even if you make it to the final stage of this program. So there's both certificate and I believe a prospective internship placement. Will you push the code to GitHub by Christos? Yes, I will. I will do that and update us. Send the link. I think it's still going to be the same link. I'm just going to update the same repository link. I'm just going to update the code base there. That's the advantage of using Git, right? And I think Alex is not on the call, so that will be the end of it for today. Thank you all for joining and also for staying extra few minutes even after 10 o'clock. I appreciate your efforts and I see you. I see you. So let's just how will I put this? I want a scenario where even if anything you are doing, not even if the thing doesn't have to do with this program entirely, right? You still have to reach out to me or reach out to any of the colleagues, right? Just to brainstorm. I'll be glad to help. Like I want to see us pushing further or pushing far, even outside of this program. So that's it. Thank you everyone for joining, and I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your time. Do have a good night rest. Bye.